My beautiful souls, my name is SP Psychic Medium and this is the Oracle of the Light channel. Welcome everybody. Welcome our new viewers and everything. It's lovely to see you all. So we're going to go straight on to the subject of the video. Before I do though, I always have to say all readings are for entertainment purposes only, as I'm sure you all understand. So I want to go into a huge story, in fact, but this is one of those really interesting stories where it doesn't seem to be anywhere. It is reported, and I found I'm going to be basing this off an article that I'm going to be putting a link to below in the Economic Times. Now, this is actually a huge story, and I don't mean that lightly. In fact, what I'm going to do first of all is going to tell about another story as well that I've just seen too. And the first thing I've just seen a thing on here, which is Elon Musk sued for alleged election bribery in Wisconsin Supreme Court race, and that is from the Up North News on Instagram. That is, so there's that going on right now too. And the Wisconsin Democracy Campaign accuses Musk of illegally offering voters up to $1 million to sway April's judicial election, the Wisconsin Examiner reports. So there's that that's going on, but I'm actually not basing the video on that, but I think that is to do with, that is related. What I'm basing it on is Kamala Harris. The article's title is the 2024 US presidential election is under scrutiny as lawsuit claims discrepancies in Rockland County. So to break this down even further, the lawsuit is challenging the 2024 US presidential election accuracy, and it was filed by Smart Legislation, highlighting alleged voting discrepancies in Rockland County, New York. The lawsuit seeks a hand recount of ballots with a hearing scheduled for September the 22nd due to statistical anomalies and sworn affidavits questioning the results, which have fueled a legal challenge. It goes on to talk about this article, how what the lawsuit actually states. So in May, New York Supreme Court Judge Rachel Tanguay ruled in open court that the allegations were serious enough to warrant the discovery process. The lawsuit could raise questions and debate about the 2024 US presidential election. Also, it goes on to talk about how the voting machines, the lawsuit comes at a time when unconfirmed reports claimed that voting machines were secretly altered before the ballots were cast during elections in November, according to the Dissent in Bloom Substack. That's from a post from Dissent in Bloom on Substack there, if anyone wants to read that. But yeah, it goes on to say that a federally accredited testing laboratory that approved significant changes to ES&S voting machines used in over 40% of US counties vanished from public view following the election. This is a seriously big story here. What we're talking about is votes literally vanishing for Kamala Harris. Now, I'm sure I'm not the only one that felt the momentum of Kamala Harris's campaign, even though she took the reins from Biden. Nevertheless, it seemed like the momentum seemed to grow when she took the reins. And we all remember the rallies too, where Kamala Harris's rallies were absolutely jam-packed and Trump simply weren't. Remember, Kamala Harris was running multiple rallies at one point in different states at the same time. And they were all selling out. People were queuing around the block. They were even, I think, doing transmissions to other stadiums at one point so other people could see the rallies. It was huge. The momentum was huge. And yet it came to the counting of the votes and it just didn't make sense to me. And I'm not an election denier, but I'm sure there's a lot of people going, oh, well, he's denying it. No, I'm not denying it, because I believe in democracy. And if a party wins, then they win. That's if they win fairly, however. And I want to be sure that it was all fair. Now, I have to remember too, looking at the history of the president that is now in power, he's a convicted felon. So let's say his history doesn't lead you to believe he may be a law-abiding person just on his simple history of what he's done. Okay, so if you have, you have Kamala Harris, which is a lawyer who's a history of being very trustworthy, following the law and this stuff. And then we have a convicted felon on the other side. So we have to think, well, what does their history tell you about that person? Does it give you faith that they're going to follow the law? We then have the recent history of him trying to deport people and actually deporting people without due process. Well, that is not following the law and the Constitution. Without due process is not following the law of the country and the land. So the recent history also shows that he has no respect for the law. So in light of that, then at the very least, and especially as these potential allegations are coming up now, surely it needs to be investigated on a very serious level. And if there have been any inaccuracies and breaking of the law, then it needs to be followed through correctly, and so this is why I think this is such a huge story here. And the reason why it's maybe not been leaked upon maybe as much is because obviously the right-wing press, the press does have the Fox Newses, etc. The right wing try to control what the masses believe by what they publicize, and so maybe this is one reason why we haven't heard as much on it as we should. But as I say, it is there because I will be posting a link to this article from the Economic Times, and this only came out on the 10th of June, everybody. So it's only very, very recent, this. And as I say, I just don't understand why it hasn't blown up into a huge story, this. And so I want more answers on it. It's time to shine our light and get some insight on this, what is going on. Of course, all for entertainment purposes only, as you know. And these are alleged allegations, of course. But they're coming out of something. We have to remember, fires don't start from nowhere. Fires have to start with a spark from somewhere. So obviously this investigation has to start from somewhere, and the potential for what it's going to have, the potential impact of this, as I say, from that article, it said the potential for the ballots in these different states are potential for huge changes, and then we've also got that other thing going on with Elon about bribery going on too. So there's a lot of these funny things going on. So what questions am I going to ask today then? So first question, were the voting machines allegedly secretly altered? Obviously it's all for entertainment purposes only. We'll just see what the cards say right today. And then the second question, did the alleged secret altering of the voting machines affect the election outcome? Okay. Now, I'm sure we all have answers that we'd like to answer those questions with, but I'm just going to see what the cards say. That's what I'm going to do. I am a psychic medium, and I'm just going to see what the cards say on this, I'm going to use the Cosmic Tarot to give me a first bit of insight, and then the Oracle of the Light cards. These are cards that me and my beautiful husband, Francesco, designed together and created, and I can say they're very incredibly accurate. They are. If you're interested in getting a hold of a deck, then just get in touch, they are available to purchase. So, okay, so I'm using these. I also use reversed cards, so I give them a good old shuffle. We'll see what the cards say. So the first question then, of course, don't forget to subscribe if you're enjoying the channel, and do give us a thumbs up and comment below too about your thoughts on this. Okay, so I'd love to know what your thoughts are on this subject, because as I say, it's a huge story, and it just isn't. I haven't seen it many places at all, and the potential for this story, and it could grow into something I feel really quite important and big, particularly as we have everything going on right now. This is a hugely important story. So I'm just shuffling the cards. I'm just switching them about a bit. Just Give him a good old shuffle. Okay, then, so were the voting machines allegedly secretly altered? Let's see what the cards say, everyone. So I'm just going to cut the deck. Yeah. Just going to give him another shuffle. And I'll switch them around a little bit as well. Yeah. There was Two of Swords and the Three of Pentacles. Okay, so were the voting machines allegedly altered? So this one I feel is to do with someone got very close to them. It feels like there's I feel from these cards, I feel that I think they were allegedly altered. I feel actually in this particular case, and this particular case, we're linking actually to the Rockland County, New York. Of course, there may be others that have been messed with, but right now this is relating to this article. But first of all, I feel this card is relating to the lovers. You might say, what's that to do with? So first of all, it's a love of power and to do anything they can to get into power, and also getting close. Someone got close to the machines and tampered with them almost, and like this is a getting close card almost, you know. Someone got very close to them because of the love of power. Okay. Now the Two of Swords is, I feel that it was done in the dark. This is to do with people were kept in the dark about this. This was a story that people didn't want to get out, because I think there's going to be more places that will come out actually with this. I think the article even said that there's potentially another 40 counties or something that may be affected as a potential for this. Though this is one county right now, they said it may there may be other counties affected. I believe the article said. I'm just trying to see where I can find the bit of it, but I see it right now. But it does feel like this is people wanting to be kept in the dark. People weren't wanting to see what was going on. People weren't wanting their actions to be seen. And also the Two of Swords is interesting. There's two people there as well. So creating harm, and I think the Two of Swords, now this is interesting. These two people, the lovers, I think this could be representing Musk and Trump. I feel in this card. Because let's face it, they were almost like a couple. I know they've had their tantrum now, and they've gone over their honeymoon period, most definitely, and now they've fallen out. But we have to remember that before this point, what was going on politically? Well, Trump and Musk Musk was in Trump's pocket, because that's what he was aiming for the Oval Office, and he got there, as we saw, into Doge, and obviously with his he needed to be there because he needed some lawsuits to be crushed, so he was going to do anything he could, and so he almost got in the pocket of Trump, like almost a partner in crime, like that, a partner there in the card. And then the Two of Swords, it was going to be done in a very underhand, secretive way, you know. And interestingly, the article talks about secretly altered. That's being kept in the dark, you know. And I see this as almost like the dial's being turned backwards on the voting machines. So I don't know what the program they were using, but it feels like, obviously it would have been an electronic thing, but it feels like whatever they did, they somehow like turned it backwards. It had an opposite effect almost, you know. So every vote almost like then produced a -2 or something like that. So it would then minus it. So every vote that came in somehow in the system then produced a minus vote, therefore zeroing it, you know. So I don't know whether this is what we'll find out about actually what happened, but it really feels like it turned. There was something to do with turning it back all the time, you know. so that the counter wouldn't get above 0, you know, which is very weird anyway. You would never get 0 for any party in an election, you know, however unpopular they are, especially as they've got the momentum that Kamala had anyway. It's even less likely. But to get 0, it just doesn't wash. I'm sorry, it just doesn't wash, you know, because there would be one person at least that would vote for that party, you know. And so to have 0 as a result, interesting. Doesn't quite wash in my mind. And I see some sort of, whatever they did involved some kind of programming that would then produce another, almost like another code to minus that count. I don't know, and I'm not a computer whiz at all. This is what I'm just being guided to say with the cards, you know, because it's all alleged, as we know. But I just say what I'm given, you know. It's very interesting here. Definitely, what this is saying to me is investigating has to be done here at a very deep level, at a computer coding level, almost, you know. I'm going to get an oracle of the light out as well, and we'll see, and then I'll give you a summary. But I do feel these investigation and these allegations are certainly looking more on the true side than the false side to me. Of course, we'll wait to see what the investigations say, you know. And, you know, look into this story, everybody. So, were the voting machines allegedly secretly altered? Let's see what these cards say. I get this one, and it's an upside down one. The Sun's Kiss. Now, interestingly, the Sun's Kiss. So again, this, and it was right on the dark card as well. So first of all, the Sun's Kiss, we have the Lovers here. This is definitely to do with two people coming together to make this happen. Almost like kissing each other, almost like I'll give you something if you give me something. And also the Sun's Kiss upside down, you could almost look at it as the moon. Well, look at the moon in that card. That's all to do with they're gonna come together, they're going to collaborate, and they're going to keep people in the dark, and no one's going to know anything. No one's not going to. And of course, I think part of the tactics too is they'll say, well, the Democrats won't want to say that we cheated, because then they'll look like us, like however many years ago when Biden got in and we didn't shut up about the cheating. So then they'll look like us, and they won't want to look like us because they can't, you know. So I feel there's that tactic going on as well, So, but we just have to call out and dishonesty, I feel, and that's what this is doing, you know. So first of all, we have the Lovers as a summary. We have the Lovers, two people coming together, each with their own agendas, keeping people in the dark but creating hurt of the Swords. Okay, and this is where we're experiencing that hurt right now, and also it's going to involve almost building a program that can almost create another code to minus it. It's really weird how I'm getting that aspect of it. And then the Sun's Kiss upside down, also keeping people in the dark, you know. Yeah, really, really interesting. So now I'm going to look at the second question. Did the alleged secret altering of the voting machines affect the election outcome? So let's see. Did these alleged, if it did happen, did it affect the outcome if it did? So let's see. Did the alleged secret altering of the voting machines affect the election outcome? As I say, I'm amazed why this story is not bigger. This story should be on the front pages everywhere. It's a huge story, and Democrats should be shouting this from the hilltops, you know. So, did the alleged secret altering of the voting machines affect the election outcome? We'll give it a shuffle. Another shuffle. And one more. I'll just go with what I'm guided. And then we'll cut it. Okay. So the upside down 9 of Swords, the upside down 7 of Cups, and the upside down King of Swords. Wow, all upside down, so all very. So first of all, yes, I feel it did. And the reason why I'm saying that is they're all upside down. So a bad result resulted in this, the wrong result, okay, which is a bad result in an election is a result that you come to wrongly, okay, not through democracy. So we have the Nine of Swords, and this is hurt inflicted on the party that did the right thing, okay. This is why it's upside down. The result of this, so the outcome resulted in hurt being inflicted on those that did the right thing, okay, not those that did the wrong thing. Those that did the wrong thing stepped into the power of the presidency and created all the hurt for the others, okay. The Seven of Cups is to do with like really just like steamrolling people, throwing out hate everywhere, which is what has happened since that result. And it's all done. Everything of this basis potentially means that things are done completely from a point of a lie, if you know what I mean. If they shouldn't be there legally, then they shouldn't be in that power, and they shouldn't have the power to be doing everything they're doing. So this is resulting in a lot of hurt being portrayed. And the King of Swords, basically not even having the real right to be exactly where he's in at the moment. Of course, it's interesting that the king came out there because we had the no king protesting, and that's because he isn't a king, and that's why it's upside down. He is no king. He was a felon, and I think that we need to be clearer and clearer about that, and how trustworthy is a felon. Let's face it. And really, he shouldn't have been even legally allowed to stand because he was impeached, I believe. So really, he should have been even prevented from even possibly standing because of that impeachment previously. But no one knuckled down on that. It's such a shame. So let's get an Oracle of the Light out as well. So it definitely looks like it did affect the election outcome. Okay. And then let's have a look at the Oracle of the Light. It says it's an upside down card as well. And we have the growth of precious life upside down. So did it affect the election outcome? Yes, it did. It actually stunted growth. And actually, we can see that in the economy. We can see that in everywhere. Everything is shrinking. Everything is crumbling. Let's face it. We all know that Trump, everything he touches, either bankrupts or ends up in court. He has a great ability to set fire to things rather than letting them grow. They will all wither up and die in Trump's hands, and that's really what this is why it's upside down. So it's created tremendous shrinkage of American everything really. Its whole growth, its healthy economy, its open-mindedness has shrunk to closed-mindedness. Everything about it has shrunk, even just respect for people and humanity. There are now people going around with face masks, just picking people up from the street. Let's face it, if they were doing the right thing, show your face, have conviction, Why all these people are going around with face masks? That to me, that is the biggest evidence that these people are just cowards, They're simply cowards, There was even I saw a video the other day of the Proud Boys marching through Kansas, I believe. They were all wearing face masks. If you're going to have those beliefs, at least have the decency to own them. Let's see who you are. Own it. I respect that people can have a different opinion to me. But the thing that is the biggest clue with all of that is if you're not showing your face, what are you so afraid of? Do you know your beliefs are wrong? Do you know that they're actually quite discriminatory? Is that why you're covering your face? I wonder. Interesting, isn't it? Because I know when I shine my light, I'm proud of who I am. I can be proud of who I am, but can they? I wonder, Let's face it. We always say history never changes, and it doesn't in a sense, okay? But what side of history do you want to be on? You know, are you going to be one of those people covering the faces on the wrong side of history? Or are you going to be on the right side of history, dancing in the beautiful light of the rainbow, being who you are, celebrating everyone's voice and opinion? Or are you just a coward who feels the need to repress others because of your inadequacies and fears, you know? Oh, I've got to offer a bit of a tangent today. But, you know, I think it's sometimes good, you know, to put these out there. I always believe in people's opinions. So please put your opinions in the comments. You know, everyone has a right to their own opinion and everyone should simply be them. But whenever you should always remember that you don't have the right to stop someone living their life as they choose because it's their life. So when you start criticizing people about this and that, is it your right to even do that? You know, because you have to think very carefully about that. Okay. And if it offends you, then why does it offend you? You know, is that because of you or because of them? And is it your problem and not theirs? So own it. Step into your power and own it. Okay. And have the confidence, you know, to own things like that. Be who you are. Okay. That's what I always say. So first of all, we have the 9 of Swords. So victory, but on the basis of wrongness and the source of creating hurt on others that have actually been doing the right thing. So those that are doing the wrong thing, creating hurt on others. The 7 of Cups, doling out hate rather than love and everything for people. And the King of Swords also representing, this represents Trump, that actually is upside down. So it tells me that this person had negative intentions, wrong intentions, but probably very typical intentions of a felon. Okay. Exactly. Shouldn't be in power. Exactly. Should not be in power. That's the thing. This is the thing to have to remember. And growth of precious life upside down, shrinkage of precious life. Okay. Everything is shrinking under this regime. Everything, as well as human rights and values, the economy, everything else, you know, it's all just shrinking, you know. And yeah, very, very, very interesting reading. And I say I did go a bit off of a tangent, but I think it's important in these times for people to step into their power and call it out. It's really important, everybody. And people are. Look at the people that turn out for the No Kings protest. Amazing. Millions of people, millions and millions, okay, having their voice and that deserve their voice and have the right to their voice. It is a fascist regime that tries to throw people out of these hearings and town halls simply for having a different view. I mean, it's just like so backwards and like, really? Are you really doing that? You know? And so, yeah, always call people out if they're spewing lies and if they're spewing hate and everything. There is never any need for that, and it shouldn't be acceptable in a. I always say, in a good society, it should never be acceptable, you know. And I always come from a perspective of love and light. Okay, we should aim to light up the world around us, not dim it down, you know. So we should light up those around us. We should strive to be higher. We should strive to love those and be good to those around us, you know. So anyway, that brings us to the end of our show today, but I really, really hope you enjoyed it, everybody. And as I say, interesting things, do comment below. I'd love to hear your comments about this, and also spread the word about this as well, because I can't believe this is not a bigger story, okay? But listen, everyone, don't forget, if you did enjoy it, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and do subscribe below. I'm trying to reach 500 subscribers, and it really, really does mean so much every time you subscribe. So listen, everybody, that brings us to the end of the show. So with lots of love and light from the Oracle of the Light, I will see you all really, really soon. Take care, everybody, and goodbye.